Hi, Brett. How are you?
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Can you take us through TubeMogul's evolved? When you started, what, 5, 6 years ago?
Yep.
You were something entirely different than you are today. Can you sort of describe how that's changed?
TubeMogul is a company I co-founded 6 years ago. I was in grad school at the time at Berkeley. The initial
it's a terrible grad school, by the way.
I know, terrible school.
I went there.
I'm not sure how I got in. The initial incarnation of the company was a video analytics product for publishers. So it looked like Omniture for video, basically. It's a couple lines of code that if you put in a video player, you knew who was watching your video and how they got there and how long. And we powered the analytics for Brightcove, an online video platform that went public last year. Quite a few other online video platforms and thousands of individual publishers. That business, it turned out, was great from a technology standpoint, but the economics just weren't there. Publishers didn't want to pay for analytics, especially when there were a lot of free alternatives in the market. So we kind of evolved the business into a media buying platform, which I'll tell you more about, but where analytics and insights and data are just as thematic now as they were on day one. And it turns out, technologically speaking, the same type of architecture that you build for a real-time video analytics product is similar to what you build for a real-time bidding product.
Do you think just fundamentally that video will be transacted this way in the future?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's a segment of the market today, but video is, you've got these things called the upfronts. Marketers like to plan years ahead, or at least 6 months ahead, what they're doing. Do you think that the future is real-time?
I don't think it's just real-time. I think it's more software. Media is an industry where there's lots of fax machines and conversations and salesmanship. And I think the power of software can make our lives kind of simpler and enable us to spend more time on the campaigns themselves rather than on the planning and putting things together. So I think, call it media buying software, call it demand-side platforms, whatever they are, I think we will in the future buy most media the way that we buy Google AdWords right now. The part of the agency upstairs that buys paid search, they're logged into a platform and they're on a PC, and they're probably more efficient and kind of less susceptible to salesmanship because of it. So.
I have two related questions for you. The standard unit, obviously, of your business is the pre-roll ad, majority of the product that you sell, correct, or that travels through your system?
I'd say, yeah, pre-roll is probably 60% of our revenue. With our platform, you can take your video, which usually kind of originated as a TV ad, and you can target your audience on any screen wherever they are. Mm-hmm. So we also do Facebook, we do video in display, we do video in tablet and smartphones as well.
Okay. So a video before a video, a pre-roll, do you see that decreasing as part of your mix? And then connected to that, do you see the videos that you're able to place ads in getting longer so that you could do sort of a more TV-like mid-roll?
I think the beauty of pre-roll is that it feels like TV. When you buy TV, you always know what you're buying. It kind of, the ad unit, if you call it that, it takes over the screen and the sound's on, and you're generally confident people may watch it. And so I think that's the beauty of a pre-roll. Someone has initiated an action, and so they want to watch the content, and in exchange, there's a value exchange that they get to see a 15 or 30-second brand ad. And so I think generally, I think pre-roll will probably grow as more TV money kind of comes into the digital video space.
What about the value exchange to the consumer? If you're watching initiating what's a 2-minute video, should you be asked to watch 30 seconds of ads before that?
Well, I think the story's in the analytics, and typically on a 2-minute video, we're going to see 80% completion rate. So I think that means for most consumers, it's a very good value trade-off. Of course, kind of the inverse is paying for content. I think most of us would rather have ad-supported content. So.
Tell me about the kind of inventory that's available for this stuff. I mean, you know, there was a study yesterday that NPD put out that said when they ask people where do they watch online videos, 45% said on their TV.
Yeah.
So you're seeing video coming into this large, very large iPad in the living room.
Right.
And I think many people don't differentiate too much where the video comes from or who made it.
Right.
What kind of inventory are you seeing in your system? Is it different than it was before?
Yeah. When I think about inventory, I think about kind of quality and then device. And in terms of quality, I guess it would help to understand how we buy media. An ad network traditionally would kind of call up a publisher, do a deal to buy their remnant inventory, kind of package it up, bundle it, and resell it. And sometimes they put kind of lipstick on a pig along the way. What we're doing is we're sitting on top of these marketplaces of inventory, like LiveRail, like Google AdX, like Adapt TV, and we're going to buy what's available in real time. So if you think about what's happening, it's pretty cool. It's probably the closest thing to rocket science that we have in media. So increasingly, you're going to go to a site, and before the ad loads, the website's ad server calls the exchange. The exchange calls the people with the seat on the exchange. We have a seat on the exchange. We get to see what we're buying before we buy it and do some decisioning. All that happens before the ad loads. So when RTB started, I think it was kind of relegated to less than premium publishers, and that was really the perception of it. We did a study last month. We saw 10 billion real-time biddable in-stream impressions from these marketplaces, and 40% of those impressions came from what we would think of as kind of tier one publishers, publishers that your mom knows. So the quality, both the volume and the quality is going up. In terms of device, I mean, the stat that you mentioned sounds high to me.
I felt it was high too. I think when you're asking people what they do, there can be a lot of room for misunderstanding or just fudging it.
Yeah, it may be true that people are consuming more and more content on devices, but it's not true that we as technology companies have aggregated that inventory as well. So I think generally there's a lot of kind of desktop or PC-based pre-roll. There's an increasing amount of mobile pre-roll, but there's not as much. We see a lot of mobile app interstitials. So this is, you're playing Angry Birds, you're in between level 1 and level 2, and you've got the free version, and increasingly you're going to see a video ad. We're seeing some connected TV, but it's not growing as fast as the demand. And if anybody here has a smart TV, you know why. It's pretty clunky right now to watch content that streams through the internet. So that's what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a lot of talk on the display side of consolidation among DSPs? We've already seen some of it happen. Do you think there'll be multiple DSPs? Well, obviously there'll be multiple, but do you think that there are too many, too few, or what will happen, do you think, in your space?
You know, when you look at the Lumascape or some type of landscape, there's quite a lot of logos. At least when we're in market with programmatic buyers, people, agencies and advertisers that are logging in and using these tools, there's only about 10 that we really see a lot. I think there is likely to be consolidation, and I see these platforms in terms of kind of two different objectives. You've got platforms like a Turn or a MediaMath where really they're designed for direct response buyers. This is where you want to target an audience wherever they are, because you just want people to click on your creative and do something. That's direct response. As opposed to companies like mine that generally we're selling to media agencies that represent brand advertisers where you're trying to persuade someone. I mean, it's great if they click, but really you want to change their mind. And so we share a similar technology stack, but we focus on context, on transparency, on brand metrics, and on the things that the brands care about. Mm-hmm. So I think the market will consolidate along those two lines.
Do you see the display DSPs adding video?
Yeah, they're definitely adding video. I think across the board. Turn is added video, Invite's added video, Media Math is added video. It tends to be kind of as a flavor, as if our campaigns are that way. And I think for most of us, we have a campaign, it either has a brand objective or a DR objective. And like I said, the things that they track and measure and optimize for are different. So I think the video spend that they'll get will be more direct response oriented and less brand oriented.
It feels like the first DSP is probably going to go public in the next 6 months or so. Do you think that could happen for you or any of your competitors?
You know, when you start a company, you're always thinking about those things. But I think more than focusing on a liquidity event, we're really trying to just simplify brand advertising to make it as simple and as measurable and as accountable as direct response is, where you always know if you're getting an ROI. And I think if we can really do that, if we can deliver on that promise, the sky's the limit in terms of potential, whether it's going public or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think video is always going to be, sort of sexy, if you will, because it's connected to television, which is sight, sound, and motion, which is the greatest branding engine ever created, right? But it does feel like in the last 5 years or so, well, not 5, say 3 years, that the shiny object has moved somewhere else. That everyone wants to talk about social and about platforms that connect people. Does that make it harder or easier for you? And do you think people are does it frustrate you that people are focused on something that's not video right now?
See, what I see is a couple of years ago when we were at events like this and doing panels, we were talking about this a lot, and now it's happening, and the money's coming. So maybe we're in a better stage where the standards and the technologies and the measurement tools that we use are maturing to a point that we're talking less and doing more. And it feels very early to me, frankly. Tablets just taking off, smartphones just taking off. Connected TV, kind of digital coming to the TV is just starting to happen. So no, I'm not frustrated at all.
It does feel like everything that was new when we first started talking about it is just the way we do business today. So, or you do business. Yeah. So it does feel like some of this stuff's mature, yet we're still talking about businesses that aren't ginormous, right? Yeah. We were talking about this earlier, where there's a lot of great companies in our space that they kind of top out at a certain level. And part of that is due to how they sell. They sell primarily via media sellers, via people. Whereas with technologies like ours, they're so much more scalable, because often you're selling to an agency or a trading desk once, and then you grow in a non-linear fashion as they spend more and more through a single platform.